Welcome to the Gen Cares powered by Chozen Live podcast, a podcast that brings the community to you. Each week, we feature a guest that will help us stay in the know. We are here every Monday at 8 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube. Be sure to like, comment, and share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now, here's your host, Jen Cares.
Well, good evening and welcome to Gen Cares, powered by Chosen Counselors. I am your host, and I am so glad that you are tuning in. I'm Jen Cares, the founder of Chosen Counselors, a nonprofit organization that seeks to inspire, motivate, empower, and strengthen individuals and families. As always, I thank each and every one of you for tuning in, for catching a replay, for liking, for sharing, and coming back again. If you're watching on Facebook, be sure to like us so you know every time we're going live. And if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe as well. Friends, I hope you enjoyed last week's episode as we had Christina and we talked about virtue. Yes, life is lifing, but we want to make sure that our decisions that we're making today are lining up with something our future self will be proud of. Because as we mature, we want our thoughts, deeds, and actions to match. And I get it, sometimes it's hard because life, be lifing. So this month's theme is life be thriving because what?
I wanna be a Toys R Us kid.
If I'm honest, I did want to be a Toys R Us kid, but what? I had to grow up. Why? Because when you hit that age, something shifts and something changes. And tonight, this month, we just want to encourage one another of how though life is life and we can't be that kid anymore. We have responsibilities. We have to step up. We have to do some things. So my friends this month coming in to help empower us, encourage us, and share with us what works for them. Why? Because we are forever learners and we're always learning a new way to support and help somebody else. So tonight's theme is act and grow. And we have the amazing Steve, the legacy, coming on. So help me welcome and introduce my friend Steve, the legacy.
Thank you for that warm welcome, Jen. How you doing? Thank you
I'm
for the
doing
opportunity.
yes, I'm doing well, and you?
I'm excited. Every time I get a chance to actually share the mission of acting and growing, because at the end of that whole statement, I usually say act and grow to believe.
Mhm.
It's always an exciting time because one of my best experiences when I see somebody really tap into themselves and start to believe in themselves and see what they actually could possibly do outside of what they thought they couldn't do. So that's the most amazing moment that I actually get. So definitely excited to be here today.
I got it. So act, grow, and believe. And I did see that. And the hope was that, our first half, we'll talk about the act and grow. And then at the end, you leave us with some encouragement of why we need to believe in ourselves as we're acting and growing so we don't give up. So this is going to be a good conversation, friends. We're going to get started. Over here at Jim Cares, we always start with a quote of the day. Today's quote of the day is feel the fear and do it anyway. Susan Jeffers. Again, feel the fear and do it anyway. What are your thoughts on that quote?
First of all, I thought it was my quote because I've been saying that for the longest. So there's actually a name attached to it. It came to be in a dream. I didn't even know that somebody actually coined it. That's why I said you got to be careful of the mindset that we have because it's almost like a radio wave. You think that you have that idea, maybe the original idea, but if you don't tap into it, you don't take advantage of it, it can be taken away. So I thought it was mine. I've been utilizing that same quote for the last 3 years. So it's amazing that you picked that one today. But when I think about feel the fear anyway, you talking to somebody that struggled with anxiety for like 13 years. So a lot of times when you feel fear in the past, what I went through, I didn't do anything. I stopped. So now it's like embracing the feeling, owning the feeling, recognizing the feeling, but letting the feeling take advantage of you because your focus is so much of what you want so much that
Mm,
you have to, still press forward. So you can still feel and acknowledge it,
yeah.
but you don't have to dwell in it, and you can continue to keep going forward.
And that's good. So ironically, I try to do some research in my mind. I'm a whole reporter over here. So when I found out, I was like, okay, so like, is that his quote? Is it somebody else? And things started. And when I Googled it and it came up, I was like, okay. But I like that too because sometimes someone miles, countries away can have the same idea you have And sometimes we get discouraged and things of that sort, but hey, it still stands and you stand on that of fear and the fear and doing it anyway. Mm.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I think that's the that helped me birth the whole coin notion of acting and grow and believe. Everybody know about Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's what most people are known about when they're trying to work on their self improvement. But I think a lot of times the thought process is so distorted that it's kind of hard for them to think and grow rich. So sometimes you have to put forth the motion of action first, then you grow your belief from there. And that's where that came from.
Mm. So before I can act and grow, I got to get through the fear, right? So what are some tactics that help you to get past the fear for you to be in this act, grow, and believe mindset?
Well, no, the thing that I started doing, and I know I coined this one, I created this one up because I came up with the concept, not the concept itself of having the 7 steps to goal setting, but the concept of knowing that when you develop a plan of action, right, and fear creeps up, you show fear of your plan, fear has to get out the way. I'm gonna say it again. When you show fear of your plan, fear has to get out of the way. Most people are fearful because they don't have the anticipation of knowing what's about to happen, and they get scared because they don't think it's going to happen. But if you plan that thing out and seeing the ending before you start the beginning, there's no fear that's going to stop you from what you got to do.
I love that. That piece of the plan, right? Because if you don't have a plan, of course you can be fearful. Because like, what I'm going to do, you're all scatterbrained. But when you write that thing out, when you make it plain, it's like, okay, I know what my next step is going to be. Either it's going to work or not work, but this is my plan B, and this is my plan C, just in case. But I have a blueprint to know what it is that I'm doing. So that's good. I got it.
You also got to burn the bridge. And what I mean by burning the bridge, a lot of times back in the day, when the Romans fought and the Trojans fought, when they hit the shore, when they hit the beach, you can't retreat. Once you get to the beach, it's either you're going to triumph, you're going to really succeed, or you're going to die. But if we want to see you try to retreat, we're going to take you out. And a lot of times in the past, that's what they did. You try to retreat, they'll take you out. You got to go in and fight. So sometimes you got to burn that bridge of thinking about that plan B. If you got too many options, it's hard to make a decision. You ever been in a situation you go to McDonald's or Wendy's, they give you all these options, and your first choice is kind of hard because you got so many selections. And
Yeah.
that's the same thing with Netflix. You get scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And a lot of times, most people scroll too much in life, and time passes so fast, and they miss their opportunity.
So I also take notes. That was good. Sometimes we scroll too much in life and we miss opportunities. And Netflix is such a prime good example to using that because sometimes we're missing out on some gems because we're judging about a cover and things that sort of like, no, that's not going to be good. That's wasting my time. But sometimes when we take a chance, when we burn that bridge, that was good. Come on, Steve, dropping nuggets already. So, who is Steve the Legacy before we get into that thing, grow? Who is Steve the Legacy?
Steve Legacy is a young kid in a man's body that grew up in the Albany section of Philadelphia, right? I went to Roxborough High School, class of '02, graduated from Cheney University in '07. I always had a thing of wanting to become an entrepreneur. I used to work at Tacony Primara Flea Market over in Jersey, right over the bridge, every Saturday morning when most kids are playing or watching cartoons. I'm out there hustling, selling things on either with my grandma or on a food truck. And I've been doing that since I was 12. So I
Hmm.
always had the desire to be an entrepreneur, but life tend to happen like it happens to a lot of people, right? So I had to go through that process of trying to find myself. And finding yourself, you learn a whole lot about yourself that you did not know outside of school. School judges you by your grades. When you get into the real world, it judges you by your actions and your results of
Mm.
what you're going to do. And that's the thing that I had to tap into what I'm going to do. And you only know that you're doing well is if your results is giving what you're yielding, what you want. If your results is not giving what you want, which it wasn't at the time of my life, I had to make some changes. And the first thing that you change, most people want to change is the actions, but you have to change the mindset. And that was the first thing I had to change with my mindset. But it took a long process because a lot of times we have these childhood baggage, childhood beliefs that kind of stop us in our tracks as we become adult. And they always said, studies show that by the age of like 35, you set in your ways unless you have a magical event, a trauma event that causes you to make this change. Because if the pain is not great enough, you won't make the change. So my pain had to be great enough in my life for me to say, you know what, enough is enough. And I can't really depend on the world having my back. The world doesn't have a plan for me. You have to make the plan to give to the world. That's my whole key with that. And that's been the journey for the last 4 or 5 years. Me creating things not just for me, but for me having an impact to give back to the world.
Mm. Again, Steve, you got some nuggets. You said school judges you by grades, life judges you by actions. And sometimes we needed that grace to help us to know we were on the right track, right? But then when life, those actions that we do is different ways that we can be judged to know whether or not we're making good choices and things. And like you sound like you out the whole running and hustling and grinding of already thinking about your future and not just today. And sometimes we get stuck in thinking about today, we forget about tomorrow. What helped you to think beyond today, beyond tomorrow, beyond next week, to look years from now?
It's my daughter. The legacy continues, right?
Yeah.
So my daughter is one thing that, the great thing behind it, she's able to watch every process, knowing that there's going to be some ups and downs, knowing that you're going to have some defeat moments, but you got to keep on pushing forward. It's not easy. I don't recommend entrepreneurship for everybody. Some people have to be the 9 to 5 to be told what to do. I don't want to be told what to do. I want to be in an ownership position of me saying and designing what I want to do. So in order to do that, you have to have some growth processes events inside your life for that to happen. You got to go through some storms. I tell people, do not wish for the lifestyles of the people that you see that's making it, because you will not want to bank on the story that they had to go through to get there. If I was, people want to be like Tyler Perry and have their success, but are you willing to be homeless and live in a car for a year or two? Or if you want to be like my man Steve Harvey, are you willing to be in a car as well and fishing in other people's lakes for food because you're struggling to be successful? So when you look at people's success, you got to understand that they all had their own personal wilderness they had to go through. So you have to understand that wilderness you're going through is for a reason. And then outside of that, you go towards the mountaintop. But when you have the mountaintop, that's when the harvest season is there. But people, they tend to want to harvest, but people don't tend to plant
Mm.
the seed to acquire the harvest.
Or they play and don't forget to water and trim and nurture and help that thing grow. That's good. And I like that because a lot of people do want to be entrepreneurs. It seems so cool. Okay, I can start this clothing line. I can start this shoe line. I can start, doing hair, being a cook and things of that sort. And though you can be skilled in those areas, it doesn't mean you may want to do it every day, right? And then sometimes you can be skilled, but not to the skill where you're going to reap a harvest. Where you feel like, no, you really gotta go check out her wings. She knows what she's doing. No, the wings not good. Don't go there. So you have to also know what it is that you're doing. How did you gain that confidence in what it is that you've been cultivating over the years to know, yes, I want to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to do this, and it's going to manifest. It's going to harvest, see flowers and blooms for not just me, but for my children, children's children, children's children.
Well, I told you before how you're going to have an event in life that you have to go through the wilderness. My wilderness was when I was a manager for Rite Aid, and when I got fired, right? And we get so accustomed to titles and positions, right? We get sold to that. I'm the store manager, but when they took away my title, right, it kind of discouraged me. I almost forgot. See, that's another thing. You can't forget what your purpose is. I almost forgot that this was only a season. I tried to make that thing a lifetime. See, that's number one. That wasn't even supposed to be there for a long period of time. And we get to the point where we get too scared to really go after what we want, because we're like, oh man, it's comfortable. But the only way you're able to really pursue in life is in an uncomfortable situation. So it was an uncomfortable task that I had to get out of in order to understand exactly what I needed to go forth and do. And knowing that, okay, we're only here, we're only here for a little bit of time. And while we're here, we want to make sure that the impact that we leave to humanity is something that will carry to the trenches, right? So it's not about, and that's the thing I tell people, when you're doing something and you have a desire for something, you want to make it bigger than you. When it's scary enough, and to the point where it's like, man, it's either do or die, I think you appreciate it more. And that's where I got to the point with me where I didn't have a plan B, right? I don't have no more of those compounding years of working for quote unquote corporate America. So it's almost like if you boxing and you're down 5 rounds and you only got 10 rounds. So if you can't get those 5 rounds back, the ones that you lost, you only got one option that guy in the corner gonna tell you. You gotta knock this thing out the park. So if you're knocking the opponent, I gotta knock it out the park. You have no choice. And that's what puts you in that position and make you even more hungry, because it's like, it's either I'm gonna make it or I'm going to make it.
Yes. That's it. I'm gonna make it today. I'm gonna make it tomorrow, but I'm gonna make it. Yes, yes. And sometimes we give up on ourselves too soon, right? Because they like, if you watch a pot boiling, it'll never boil. But if you just let it sit there and do what it do, it's gonna boil after a while. But sometimes it's like, oh, it's taking too long, and things of that sort. And we get discouraged, and we just like, maybe I shouldn't do this anymore. But it's really important to really just stick to it. Of either I'm gonna make it or I'm gonna make it. Very good.
Yes. Hmm.
Was this something that you always dreamed of doing? Like as a child, what was your dream, profession, goal?
Well, I learned that my dad loved basketball, so he put the basketball in my hand at a young age, and I adopted the love of the game. And I wanted to go to the NBA, but when that didn't happen, I remember even in the midst of me working with my grandma, I had a little nerdy idea concept for being an inventor. What inspired me was Steve Urkel from Family Matters. Me growing up watching Family Matters all the time and seeing him create. That was the first time I saw somebody like me that looked like me that invented things, right? And understanding things. And my first invention in middle school was called the clean cups, a pair of clippers that, as it cut, it sucked in the hair so it won't fall on the floor. I did not know exactly how to get a trademark or patent. They gave me, best of school award. They gave me the actual ribbon, but I didn't make the money. And it's funny how, as you get older, you can tap back into your childhood things. So, like right now, I'm getting older, but I'm still like that kid because it's like the things that I wanted to create that I wasn't able to because I didn't have the knowledge. Now I'm able to go forth and do it. And it's really an amazing thing to feel because it's like, yeah, you can get older, right? Yeah, you age chronologically, but I'm gonna tell you, I'm still a kid at heart, and it's fun doing the process of really something that you enjoy when you're a child, and you actually enjoy it as an adult as well.
And that's pretty cool too, because as a kid, I think we were a little bit more carefree, right? We was like,
Yep.
I just gonna work, it's not gonna work. I'm gonna ride this bike, I'm gonna fall, I'm gonna get back on again. And we get a little older, if I fall, I'm not getting back on again because my body don't heal like it used to. Um, but how it's so dope too of the shows that we've seen that's been able to encourage us. So Steve Urkel being able to event. So you saying like it was like a clipper for barber to use, right? So
Yes.
how dope is that? Because like everybody else is maybe thinking that basketball is the way, maybe thinking football is the way, and sometimes I think in our community, our black and brown students or children, we think that they're supposed to do. They think sometimes that they're only supposed to do sports, and there's so much more to that. They are creative minds. They want to create things. They want to go into entrepreneurship. They want to be doctors, scientists, researchers, and things. And sometimes our shows of the day don't show how it did for Steve Urkel to be able to encourage you to know, wait, you can go from this to that, you can do this, and really use your brain. And it's something that people gravitate to because they need it. Because we need somebody to create something new. Because if it could be more efficient, it's always going to be beneficial. What's another creation you had following the Clipper?
So whether I did the Clippers, I got the award for the schools. It's funny when my daughter was young, I invented a potty chair. It's funny I haven't come out with it, but I trained her with my potty chair design in less than I think it was about 4 days. Because here's the pain point. Remember, pain points in life causes you to come up with some type of creation. So the pain point was I got tired of paying for the diapers and wipes every week. It was like almost at the time $17 a week, right? And I said I got to create this potty chair. The ones that she got on the baby shower, she just used it as stepping stools and somewhere to throw her toys in. But I created something that she can utilize as not only just a chair, but it turned into a potty as well. So that was the second thing. But once again, not knowing the other steps of how to get a patent trademark, that was the discouraging thing. So I always had ideas.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing was a diaper with a built-in disposable bag because it was always hard to find bags when was changing her diaper, right? So it was like a little slit that you could pull the bag out the back, and then after you finish, wrapping that thing up, toss it like that. So it was called a pouchy. So those are just ideas and concepts that never made it to light, but
Mm-hmm.
I did have like samples and things like that until that one great year of 2019 when I was a mascot for Shellingham Lady Panthers alumni game, and I saw a standalone photo booth and people was walking by it, and I was wishing for some type of device that can give the same experience but mobile, and that's when I created the Wandering. I I have a cartoon version of it right here. He's holding it in his hand, but
Okay.
it's an actual device that can take your pictures on the go. It's just like a photo booth, but you can carry it around.
Hmm.
And that was the thing I've been in 2019, got the patent for it in 2021
Hmm.
after the pandemic. And the great thing is, I did the whole thing myself because I didn't have the $10,000 that the lawyers wanted. So I learned how to do it myself.
Hmm. So let me go back to this potty chair. You say in 4 days that baby knew how to go to the potty?
Yeah, it was 4 days. Four
I,
days, I documented everything like that.
on behalf
And
of
then the
some
great
mothers
thing,
and fathers, I think you need to, that might be a jackpot. That's pretty cool though.
yeah.
Like again, how our minds think if we allow it to be creative to go forth and how it becomes something that people need. And then you became what you needed because in that moment when you didn't know how to pay, you did the work to figure that out. And sometimes again we give up on ourselves. But if you figure out, once you figure it out, it's like, oh, that's not too bad. And then if you know how to do it, you save a coin, but you can also then help somebody else, teach somebody else, and keep that going too.
Hmm.
The diaper is also a good idea as well. I wouldn't throw that out the bag either. Those two, and again, you never know when it can come back around because it
You're
is
right. You're
out
right.
of the bag for diapers, and depending how pleasant or unpleasant is in that diaper to be able to wrap it up so it don't go everywhere. That smell,
Yeah.
um, pretty cool, pretty cool. Yes, this is really nice. What, huh? And again, it's I hate to say the beginning, but essentially it is like you're reaching the beginning of it because it goes from level to level to level. Even with the device for the camera, did you create that where people could buy it?
Yeah. So I got the first prototype made in India during the pandemic. Right now, I gotta get the cost down.
Okay.
So what happened was when the pandemic hit, I used to do like parties and events, 300, 400 people. I was trying it out, different settings, club scenes,
Mm-hmm.
comedy scenes. The whole goal was to go to stadiums and that be another. Because here's the secret behind it. It's not just a photo book. What it is a data collection device. And what I mean by it is that most people back in the day, you go to a stadium event, they got the little cards they want to give away. They want you to fill out the little thing. And
Mm-hmm.
tell you the truth, that's too much, right? I'm trying to go to my seat. I don't got time to fill it up. I may want to win the car, but I don't got time for it. But nobody turns down a free photo op, right? So
Right.
you go to an event, take a photo, right? But if you want to get the photo, I gotta get your information. So I get your information, and now the sponsorships and the companies that want to go and reach those people, you'll be able to wrap that photo along with the sponsorships and stuff when you send it to them. So it's really what I call a data mining machine
Okay.
outside of just taking a photo. Because now you're allowing yourself to not only take the pictures of people, but you're able to market them too as well with companies and stuff that's looking for people in those categories.
Very nice. Very nice. And so needed. I do hope and pray that you get to connect with those people that have the funds to help you continue to push the gifts because you definitely have some great ideas
Thank you.
that you're working on to really help this is the community. I also appreciate, being mindful of costing, being mindful of cost as well. Two things for that though, that you're looking out for the people that you're serving, but also sometimes because if it's this disposable diaper, they got a bag with it, or that potty chair, um, we want to also just encourage our uh, supporters and community to also invest in some things that's going to help you. So it may cost a couple more coins. So we know, ladies, if you go to the hair store, you get the cheap hair, it's not going to last as long. You get that Remy, that version from the people, it's going to last you a couple of years and things of that sort. And just as you invest in that, you want to be able to invest in these day-to-day items that can help you. And that potty chair cup for your baby, another baby, and then you again, it spreads like wildfire. If it's working for you, somebody else to get it for their household as well. So again, knowing that we should invest in ourselves, especially if it's beneficial for our community, and it's helping our community, we want to do that.
Yes.
Pretty cool, pretty cool. Ah, so in doing these inventions, I'm gonna get to the books because I saw the book come up. Um, but in doing these inventions and doing these books, what has is there ever a time where you're like, am I done? Should I stop? Or should I keep acting and growing in this? How do you know?
Uh,
And then how do you know when you get to that place?
so I'm gonna tell you something. A lot of things comes to me randomly out of nowhere. Cubics was never on the agenda for this year.
Mm.
Cubics was birthed on February 11th, and in the midst of this 2 month scenario, it has grown tremendously. Cubics was only to be actually it wasn't even a thought process. So I thought I was done creating games. I thought I was done designing things and just focus on just pushing what I have out. But what happens is, like I said to you before, when you continue to do the things that you love, when you continue to master and really find out how to get things done, when other ideas come, the process goes faster. I think Cubits was my fastest innovation that went from idea to market out of everything that I created.
Mm.
And that was something that wasn't planned. So I don't think I'm done. I'm thinking this is just a see, in basketball, you got a good 10, 15 years, give or take, but creation is it's like infinity. I got notes, I got books, I got ideas that's written down in books of things that have not taken place. And if it's not for me to touch it, it's for somebody else to pick up on it. So it's going to be somewhere outside of me that outlives me that's going to continue. So I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a continuation.
So, in speaking of Cubics, what is Cubics? I see that it's a game. How does one play?
So I'm going to take a little back. Let's go back in time.
Mm-hmm.
So back in the day, and it's funny because I'm talking to the 2000 babies and they don't even know what Jax is. So
I thought so.
just
I wasn't sure. That's why I wanted to ask. I'm a Jax player.
yeah,
Oh,
they don't even know what the game of Jax is. So
yes.
the great thing, what I love about Cubics is the conversation of inspired by Jax. You have the older generation, like in the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s, can relate to the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the game of Jax, it's they haven't modernized it in the last 200 years because before it was bones. They played with bones, they played with stones and things like that. Then you had the Jacks, the ones that hurt your feet when you step on them when you had no socks on, right?
Yes.
So my mom was teaching my daughter how to play. Now I couldn't sit still as a kid long enough to play Jacks, so I never played Jacks. I played basketball. So Jacks is a sit down type of sport. So that would never be me. I never sat still when I was young. So that couldn't be me. But anyway, so I saw my mom teaching my daughter. And my thing is, and here's my motto, and I coined this thing. I think I created this. I don't know if anybody else said this quote, but I see things for not what it is. I see things for what it can be. I saw Jax for what it was, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I looked at it and see what could it be. I do pop-ups at ShopRite and Fresh Grocer twice a month, and I create a couple board games. But one parent one time said, "Do you have anything for us to help with math, color, strategy, critical thinking skills?" And I do have to a certain extent with the board game, but nothing like really in that type of category.
Mm-hmm.
So when I looked at Jax, I looked at, man, how can I make this better? How can I make this different, right? How can I make it modernized, right? So what came to mind was colorful cubes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the representation of what the cubes are. So just like the game of Jax, you have onesies up to tensies, right? Mm-hmm. But the difference between cubics is that now you have to have the certain colors that you have to pick that represent certain points. So, for example, red is 2 points. Forgive me, I'm on Broad Street. They doing
You all right?
crazy drive-bys. Forgive me, whatever. So like for example, the red is 2 points, the black is 3 points, and the rest is 1 point. And you have a total of 10 cubes, right? So now the kids have the strategy of they have to pick up red first when they do the onesies. Same thing with twosies. They got to pick up red along with the other color that they pick. The black cube is the last one because it's the most valuable one. Is the last one to pick up. And it's strategy when you throw it out there because the thing is you can't pick up the black. If you do, the game is over. Almost like if you shoot and pull, you hit the 8 ball when you first break, the game is over. You hit the scratch, right? So now I looked at, okay, you got critical thinking skills. You have mathematics in that. You have the color coordination strategy with that. So now it's a STEM product now. Mm-hmm. And that right there, I wanted to get into that market because I understand about autism. This month is autism awareness, right? Yeah. And how the relationships of just feeling and touching. The kids of today are so used to playing on tablets and phones, they lost their hand-eye coordination. Mm-hmm. And this game helps create the focus, helps create the alertness and it helps with the dexterity of the hand and eye coordination to get them back. And when I did the focus group, I noticed how they're discombobulated because I asked them, I said, look, pick the ball up as you scoop it, all in the same hand, but for some reason the other hand wanted to gravitate, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it was a muscle memory type of thing. So now I got the muscle memory, I got all the little hooks of the solving a problem with a solution.
Mm-hmm.
And now what I wanted to do was I wanted to wrap it around as a movement. So I created a tournament that's
Mm-hmm.
going to be July 29th. And like I said, all this started February 11th this year. It was not on the agenda,
Mm-hmm.
but things just came like just a light in my head.
Very nice.
Down to the packaging. Everything was like dream, down to the packaging.
Mm-hmm.
All that just came just out of nowhere.
Yo, dope. Um, so in that you shared about you like other games that you created. So then I did see like a 2-in-1 that you did. Um, but the
Yes.
Dictionary Daddy board game that stuck out to me. What
Yeah, so Dictionary
what
Daddy was created with me and my
that
daughter during
game?
the pandemic. And based on her just asking me all these questions, and I kept giving her answers for her. And she said, "You like a Dictionary Daddy." Layla is my game naming comrade. Layla has a great name.
Oh,
Layla named my game Cubics because I said I created a game, Layla. I need a name for it. And she said, Cubics.
okay.
And I ran with it, right? So Layla created
Mhm.
the name Dictionary Daddy, and we both did the game together too as well. And then
Mhm.
my girlfriend, she created the name Swiggle for my other game. So all my games is all about teaching kids to be able to be active again. Um, this one is like Simon Says on steroids, getting kids moving again, right? Kids are stagnant. Kids
Mhm.
are sitting still for hours.
Mhm.
Screen time is like never ending. So
Right.
these games are designed to help them become active and be a kid again.
Yes. Very nice. It's so needed. As we're coming into the warmer months, I find joy when I ride around the city and see youth outside jumping rope, skipping, and things of that sort. Because it's not a common thing anymore. They are in the house on the games or social media. Also, just trying to get youth moving again and active and talking to one another, building up. Excuse me, the social skills is so crucial and important and needed. So this is really nice. You said
Yes.
it was like a uh, Simon Says on steroids a little bit, so they're
Yeah, Simon Says on steroids. And here's the thing. Look, Mattel and Hasbro never got back to me. He actually said no. And something said, become your own Mattel, right? Turn your living room into your own factory. Why wait? See, that's another thing. A lot of times we wait for things to change. And my great mentor, Jim Rohn, said, for things to change, you got to be the change. You can't
mhm,
change the season, you can't change the seed, but you can change yourself. And once you decide to change yourself, then this the sky is not the limit, right? Because you still got
mhm.
the stratosphere. So it's like when people say the sky the limit, it's not the limit. You still got areas that haven't been discovered yet, right?
Yeah,
So it's a continuous galaxy out there to keep things moving. So don't cap yourself. A
yes,
lot of times, most people cap themselves at the position that they currently have right now, and it's kind of sad because you don't know exactly what you can probably possibly do. They said the richest place is the graveyard
mm,
of ideas and concepts of things that never was brought to pass. So I'm being a kid again.
yes,
The resources we have now, the lack that we have is the lack of imagination. That's the only lack that we have, and that's
mm,
the biggest nation in the stratosphere is the imagination. But most people never visit.
mm. Whew.
Most
So
people never visit.
I love your games. I in every year we work to sponsor a family for the holidays. So I'm gonna definitely order some of your books to be able to put in because for the kids and things of that sort. And books are always great for them to read. So we're definitely going to order the books. Hopefully I can find a father in the family to be able to get a dictionary daddy out as well to just again encourage game time. We used to do when we first started choosing counselors, we would do a back to school family night and it's where families would come out and play games together, eat dinner together, and then they will all leave with a game. And it's board games and things of that sort. Why? Because we're trying to also encourage that family time. Uh, is not as active as it was when we were growing up, where it was important to sit down at the table. It was important to kind of check in. How was your day? And doing the things of that sort. So I'm really excited. I want to connect with you to be able to do that to be able to give that as a gift to the families that we sponsor this year. So hold me
Now,
to it.
that'd be a blessing. I was just at recently. I was at a play testing event. I never been to one before. Or the
Mhm.
game is a nice place, 33rd and Chestnut Street, called the Board and Brew. Right. So once a month, people that create games can get it tested, and it felt good to watch people play a game without you having to be hands on.
Yes.
And that was the whole concept. And I did not know how much of work that you have to make sure that the
Mhm.
gameplay functions without you having to keep explaining. You know what I'm saying? So it was a good feeling to see it, being able to like, all right, those sequences that I did for hundreds and thousands of times before I produced it, it paid off because it's like, it's making sense.
Yes, yes, yes. So I'm, I'm definitely gonna be in touch to be able to get those activities for them. So that's the games and things. But let's talk about the books that you have, because I'm gonna throw some books in there too. You have some children books, and then you also have some adult books.
Mhm.
Let's talk about them.
So, like you said, act and grow, right? So this is the first book I wrote called Act and Grow Believe. What
Mm-hmm.
it is a handbook. It's not just a good read, but you're working on yourself in here.
Mm-hmm.
You're answering some questions, some tough questions to help you get you to the next level. I'm sharing, I'm becoming transparent with what I went through and
Mm-hmm.
how I had overcome it so that I can meet you where you're at. A lot of times, most people you see that's big shots that have made it and you think they didn't go through anything. Well, look, I didn't go through things, I grew through them. So by me growing through the process, I'm able to share that through this book, and you're able to really define exactly what you really want in life and what you want to do. And I give you step by step procedures of what to do, especially my favorite one is the 7 steps to goal setting that I coined from the late great Zig Ziglar. You will
Mm-hmm.
have that in the book too as well. You follow 7 steps no matter what you do, and you'll definitely will see it through. So I love on that. The second was speed in the mind.
Mm-hmm.
What are you putting in your mind? You know, they said the biggest commodity now is attention.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the biggest commodity, where's your attention going? How's
Mm-hmm.
it growing? What are you feeling? So this book is another workbook where you have to work with yourself and answer the questions and really uncover what really you have going on the processing and programming with your mind. And that's one thing I love about that. And then for the like the young innovators out there
Mm-hmm.
that want to do some things as big but think that they can't, well, the little bit that could is a book that will help you really inspire and encourage your children to think outside the box, to use their imagination, to be
Mm-hmm.
okay. Like it's okay to be different. You know, I'm a different species, and it's okay. You don't have to be like the bunch. So it rhymes like a Dr. Seuss film, which I love. I
Okay.
fell in love with Dr. Seuss books.
Mm-hmm.
So all my books rhyme, and they all came in a dream. Now, here's the thing. Here's a critical thing. I had stories that I wanted to get published, right? I sent to a lot of publications out there, and they never got back to me. And my motto is this: is that I don't wait for opportunity. I create the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Black Innovation came about. I created a publication and started advertising. At first, it was just my story, but
Mm-hmm.
now I'm advertising other people's stories and innovators in different niches that are doing big things. That they try to get their story out there, but I'm being a big enough hope to help that too. And that's what I've been working on ever since this past August. See, when somebody's trying to tell you no, there's a whole bunch of yeses just waiting for you. But most people they stop at the first no.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to do what Les Brown says: use no as your vitamin. Once you use it as your vitamin, that's something that you look forward to. How many no's you had today? If you haven't had any no's today, that means you're not working. Okay. You're
Use
not working hard enough.
as your vitamin, yo. Ah, she said, awesome job, Curly Top. Speaking good. Absolutely. Use no as your vitamin. If you didn't get any no's, you ain't working, friends. Mm. Whew, that's good. And the books, I enjoyed that there. You said it's a workbook. So it's spaces for them to write.
You write in it because you know a lot of times you read these books, right? And it's a good read. You put it on the shelf and you're done with it, right? But you gotta put your thoughts out. Most people are looking for answers, right? And they're not realizing, just like how in the movie Matrix, if you ever seen Matrix,
Mm-hmm.
he always wanted to know what was the question. He already knew the question. What
Yeah.
is the Matrix, right? And they said the Matrix is around you. Well, the thing is this: the answer to what you're looking for, you already have. What is seeking you is what are you seeking is also seeking you. So a
Yeah.
lot of times most people don't realize that what you're seeking is seeking you. One of the things that I tested with my girlfriend just recently, I learned from The Secret. Secret is a book, and it actually had a movie. But there's one little segment they had in it about the pocket space thing.
Mm-hmm.
seeing a parking space in your mind before it happens. Sometimes people use it as a baby step of believing, right? So I
Right.
tested. So we went to the plane testing event last week. Now, 33rd and Chestnut Street is always packed with cars, always. I mean, constantly, especially
Mm.
the time I was going at. But in my mind, I said, I have a lot of stuff to carry. I'm going to have a parking spot
Yes.
when I pull up. Went around the block, and as soon as I got around the block, that guy got in the car and pulled up, and I was ready to get back in. Not a second too late, not a second too soon, but right on the dot of what I said. We
Mm.
got to do the same thing like we do that with life. You
Yes.
got to see yourself. I saw Cubic before Cubics even saw me. I saw before anything else like that because the fact is you have to be that one that really, harness that before you get it. A great guy by the name of Deacon Davis said this, right, to work for Primerica. He said, you have to seize it before you see it. You
Mm.
have to seize the opportunity before you see it. Most people say, I got to see it. Remember, faith is not by your eyes, right? Faith is by the thought process of the things that we hope for, the evidence of the things that's unseen.
Mm.
So you have to seize the moment.
Yes.
Most people are not seizing any moment. That's why they can't see the
Mm.
moment.
Mm. This is good. This is good. Because we get jammed up, we get hummed up, or because we don't see it, we feel like we shouldn't do it. We thinking it, we dreaming it, but because we're not doing the work to make it a reality, it's like, maybe it won't happen. But if I seize it and hold on to that thing, what's the worst that can happen? A no is a vitamin, you said. But there's also possibility that it'll work out great.
No is a great thing to experience. Why? Because no is telling you that that person wasn't the answer.
Mm.
So that means it's still, if you have the question, that person wasn't the answer. So you got to get the answer. The answer's out there. That person's not the answer. And here's the great thing about a no. A no can always be changed into a yes. Most people say no because they need more information.
Mm.
Most people say no because they have no understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Most people say yes is because after a while they gravitate to the what they call FOMO, the fear of missing out.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing, I say that my train is always moving. You just better be, hopefully you're at the right station when it tends to stop. But
Yeah.
normally it's express.
Yes.
So normally you have to actually be on that thing. But most people have to catch you on the back end. See, if you don't get the person on the front end, always you can catch them on the back end. But a
Mm.
lot of times people stop in their tracks. I get the first no. I used to do door to door sell. So that really gave me tough skin at a young age. Slams and doors, saying no and all that stuff. Now, the first time in the first company I did work for, I did quit after a week because I got tired of the door slamming. But I learned a lot of lessons from it, right?
Yeah.
So you got to understand that when you have that burning desire, nothing can stop you.
Nothing can stop
Nothing
it.
can put it out but what you put out.
Mm. Ooh, because no, we don't always like no. You know, as a child, we would hear no, we didn't like it. It doesn't change as we get older. We still don't like it all the time. But knowing that if we hear a no, maybe it wasn't that person, it wasn't your time, it wasn't the right moment, and things of that sort. But again, even in that no, not giving up, right? And again, trying again because that no might change into a yes or not right now, later. Knowing that a delay is not a denial either. It's like sometimes like ask me later, or let's talk about it later. But sometimes again, we give up so quickly because maybe we didn't seize it, we just wanted to see it, or we thought we saw it and it still was wrong. Like, what is going on?
Well,
Good.
you gotta understand what season you're in. Most people don't realize everybody's in different seasons. See, here's the thing: wintertime is when everything goes wrong, but wintertime is very crucial because the fact is, when you have wintertime in your life, it's
Mm,
really testing how strong are you. Because I got some things that's coming this way to you, and if you're not strong during the winter season, you can't be ready for the spring. Now, after winter, there's spring. Now, here's the critical thing about spring: spring is short; it's a short time. Short
mm,
time to plant, short time to actually put forth what you need to put forth at that time because once that window is shot, you lost it. Summer is the protecting season. And if you want to put this in an equation when it comes to business, trademark, your patents, everything, your business license, it's the protecting season, right? But the great thing after protecting, what happens after the summer?
mm.
If you plan and if you plant it in the right fertile soil, after summer, this is a great experience that's going to happen.
Yes.
And that's fall. And in fall, that's the harvest season. See, once you discover what season you're in, it's an easier pill to swallow of the position that you're currently in.
Mm. You gotta know what season you're in, because we try to mix seasons or make it the season we want it to be, and it's like, no, it's not time for that. Whew.
Yeah, it's been a long road for me. All this stuff, but this was hours of sleepless nights of really tapping into what I what I am, right? Most people are living in the idea of someone else and not themselves. Most people are not living the way that they want to because they're tapping into the wrong program of the plan for their life.
Mm.
Once they tap into what they were designed and made for, everything becomes crystal clear for them. But they have to go to that experience to uncover that. And like I said, that right now the new commodity is the attention. If you don't have that undivided attention and that quiet moment to understand where you're supposed to be at, you will always be distracted so much that when you realize what you're supposed to do, time is up.
Time is up. Time is up. Shirley says, Steve, you are amazing and you are just getting started. Keep pushing forward.
Thank you
Just
so
do it.
much.
And it's crazy because you're sharing other inventions that you've done, the books that you've done. And yes, there's definitely more, but the insight and mindset that you have is so powerful and so needed. One, two, for younger communities, right? So that they can know like there's more. You don't have to give up. I do some groups with some young men, and sometimes they're like ready to give up, or they think like this is the only path I could go. You don't have to go that way. You can go a different way. And the insight that you have because of what you've been through, right? Because it's been that point of pain. Like we've all had it, and it either causes us to do something about it to help somebody else, or either we stay in it. And friends, when we stay in it, it gets uncomfortable and we don't like to be there. But the hope is that it pushes you and propels you to invent that thing, to write that book, to be that for somebody else. Because where your words can't go, that book goes to somebody. It's like, oh, the inventor, act growing belief. I now know how to do the next steps to cultivate, my self belief in what it is I'm trying to do and living this life. If it's a swiggle game, I could be interactive with my family, and we think that it's small, but it's so much bigger than just the idea that it went. It blew up once you did it. Of how it went to all these different places to be able to help so many different people. But again, the words that that you have to, and the wisdom that you have, so encouraging and inspiring to listeners that are listening today, that will listen another day, and those that you come in contact with. Because normally, if you have a conversation like this is a norm for you. You kind of always have these conversations with somebody else to encourage them, and then that it encourages and empowers you. So definitely in the veins of what Shirley's saying, keep pushing forward.
No, I really appreciate it. I see what happened was I was looking for somebody like me.
Mm,
And when I couldn't find them, I had to become that person. Some
mm,
people in life, they got to become the person that they're looking for. And that's the challenge thing because God is waiting for you. He's waiting for somebody else to come. No, he's waiting for you to be right. He's waiting for you to get in position. Most people, I think our blessings are not put in a position where we need to be at because we're in the wrong position.
mhm, mhm.
That's why we do it in football, right? When that wide receiver runs that route, if he's not at that spot, he's not going to catch that ball. You got to know exactly when that quarterback is throwing that ball to be at the right place where they already practiced and rehearsed.
Mhm, mhm.
So that's how you have to be the same thing with what you do in life, what you practice and what you rehearse. I practice and I rehearse speaking. I practice and I rehearse writing books. I practice and I rehearse creating
Mhm,
things.
mhm,
So
mhm.
then the perfect practice makes things perfect, right?
Yeah.
I just said perfect practice makes things perfect. Everything's not going to always be perfect. But
Right.
the thing is, it's like you already have the blueprint of what you need to be at because sometimes you have to become the architect for your own blueprint because there's
Yeah.
no tutorial there to guide you because that's why I told you that faith is going to be the thing that guides you.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me, I was in the playground the other day practicing cubics, and he said, what makes you create these things? I said, I'm always looking for something to feel.
Mhm,
I'm
mm,
always looking for something to feel, something to grow, something to transpire into existence. If you
mhm.
look at this whole scenario of everything that we use, the lights, the devices, these are all innovations in somebody else's mind.
Yes.
And here's the critical thing I tell people. Now that we know that, the things that we use in our everyday life that has been an idea in somebody else's mind, the critical thing, are you the one leading your life through your own lens of what you think you need to be doing for yourself in life? Or are you living in the life of somebody else that already pre-designed it for you? And that's what I think, that's what that matrix, what they talked about with that, because most people are so into their to somebody else's ideal version of what they think life is versus them creating the life that they actually want to be. And once they be able to do that, then you don't know what that person is going to be. That's why I told you in the very beginning, my biggest, most fulfilling achievement is when I see someone discover their powers for the first time in life. Almost equivalent to when you watch superhero movies. When they discover their superpowers for the first time in life, that's the most exciting dopamine event that you can ever have in life. We are all superheroes in our own self. We just got to understand the powers that we have to bring to this world.
Hmm. When we finally discover our power, we no longer sleep on ourselves either. We get to moving and doing that grind, the no sleep, sometimes missing out on some things. But I was sharing like before we even started, like how sometimes it feel like it's temporary, and it's not necessarily that it's temporary, but sometimes the grind is a little harder in the beginning because you're trying to establish everything, and it does level out because we have to learn that balance of the self care and the moments to know when to put something down. Because sometimes you can be working on something for so long and it doesn't work out how you thought it would, as fast as you thought it would. But when you take a pause, sometimes helps you to come back with fresh eyes and things of that sort. But trusting that process and going through it. So
Listen,
the most theme is life be life, and right? You summed that up very well of how even what life has brought us, how we continue to life through it, and still being a kid in it. Because again, you're excited and always learning and trying to just create something new and different, something that you maybe may have wanted when you was a child, but also what you want to have for another child or another person to help them, evolve in things. But in going with the act and grow, can we share just a little bit more about uh, how we go from act, grow to the belief for our viewers?
so like I said before, we were familiar with Think and Grow Rich. And the thing that Napoleon Hill didn't really disclose in the book was that the fact is most of the people that had the thought process of thinking and grow rich had an ideal concept already instilled inside the system of their mind. Most of us are coming from damaged backgrounds that cause our belief to be shattered. So we can't really think and grow rich because we never had a thought process of being outside our current state of circumstance. So when you act and grow your belief, that means you got to put forth the action even when you don't feel it. Even when it's uncomfortable, you put forth the action. And then after you do that action, belief tends to grow after that. Most people want belief ahead of time. It doesn't work that way. Sometimes you got to pull forth the action first, and then the belief will come because now you said, wait, I actually did that. That's something else. And if I can do that, I can do this. And if I can do that, I can do this. And that's when the beliefs start to grow. But
Mhm.
most people are thinking that, I gotta get the thought process. Sometimes you have to go forth and just pursue it first. Most people want things perfect. When is ever a perfect opportunity? My man Jim Rohn said it best. He said the best time to start is when the idea is hot and the emotion is strong. He never said when you're ready. When the idea is hot and you got a strong emotion, that's the perfect time to act. And the dangerous thing behind it is that once you release whatever you think out in your mouth into the atmosphere, if you do not act upon it, it's like a radio wave. And if you don't go forth and take advantage of it, somebody will. So be careful what you put out as a command than what you say out your mouth.
Mm, so true. So true. If you don't do it, somebody else will. Because, like you said, you can have ideas, somebody else have idea. But when you put it out there, people gravitate to as well because the reputation that you built for yourself and the quality of work that you've done. So sometimes they don't got to know you, be like, but this is pretty cool. Like, where you get this from? And it's, again, spreads like wildfire. So it's really, really crucial. What is something that you would tell your younger self?
I would have told little Stevie that all the practice, all the skills that he had was immaculate. But I need you to work on sheltering your mind for the negative outsources of your peers, from the negative people that's going to go forth and try to come after what you're trying to actually bring forth. I would tell him to guard his mind and protect it so that he would not be discouraged in what he does. I worked so much on my skills. I worked so much on developing my talent that I did not work on protecting my mind from the outside world. So all somebody had to do was tell me I was not good enough, and I believed him. So I would have told my younger self, you know what? You are enough. You have the belief,
Yeah.
and nothing can stop you. I think if I would have had, if I would rewind back and had those sessions along with the skill sets of everything I was doing, man, talk about the force to be reckoned with.
Mm.
He'd have been a dangerous boy. Why do you think most people, even in the NBA, you only got certain Michael Jordans and certain LeBrons and certain different things? Because it's like the reason why it's like that is because some type of force field, some type of array of, because most people got talent in sports and basketball, but you're like, well, why them? Why that? And I bet you if you bottle up what they actually have, it won't be the skills and talent of just basketball alone. What it was that they had developed that force field of belief and that desire of what they want to do, and nobody could not tell them otherwise. They couldn't penetrate that. It was solid brick. Mine was built out of paper. Blew that thing down, and that was a wrap.
Right.
So that's what I would have told. I would have told that to my younger self.
And friends, that's good for our current selves as well, because sometimes you're trying to do something, and like, here goes Steve again, posting something else. Here goes Steve again, doing another game. And sometimes it's because they're not pursuing whatever goals and dreams that they have. So, friends, we got to remind ourselves too, being at this adult level, whatever age level you find yourself, that what you're doing is amazing. I was telling a young lady just the other day that you're going to already get a text because you said yes. But the Bible tells us to watch and pray because we don't know who's going to attack us next. Somebody's always going to have something to say. Somebody's always going to have good feedback, bad feedback. But we're watching because we're mindful of when it's coming, and we're praying that one God, if it's some truth in what they're saying that I need to adjust in my life, let me go ahead and apply. But if it ain't, let it go away so it doesn't stop me on the path that I'm doing of helping and building and pursuing my dream and goal. What would you say
Correct.
to yourself, to the future self, the future Steve, retired Steve? Is there a retired Steve? I don't know in the future, but what would you say?
Steve would never retire. Steve's gonna always be a continuation.
Mm-hmm.
What I say to him, I say, this is what I would say, like, thank you. I would thank him for staying the course.
Mm-hmm.
Um, those hiatus, 20 years, or gaps in between childhood and adulthood, thank you for not giving up. Don't give up. Continue to keep pushing forward, even when it gets hard, because you've been here before. You got the T-shirt, you got the pair of sneakers. You know how it is. So you got over those other humps in life. So this is nothing. This is light work right now.
Yeah.
And continue to keep on striving and make everything. Continue to do everything bigger than yourself, because it's not about me. It's about everything. I want to be great. And Jimmy said it best. I call him Jimmy like I know him. Jim Rose said it best. He said that in order to be great, greatness is powered by servanthood. So if you want to be the greatest, you got to serve the many. You serve the many, you will always be great. You serve yourself, you will always be late.
Really, mm, very good, very good. I love it. And sometimes we gotta tell ourselves now, thank you too, because it's some stuff we made it through that we didn't think we could make it through, but we kept on pressing, kept on persevering. And again, all these books under your belt, these games under your belt, magazines under your belt. We didn't talk about that. You also have magazines. How did that come about?
Once again, the storms.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the storm. You send out so many press releases and nobody get back to you. You get discouraged.
Mm-hmm.
They share a negative story like this. Hey, you got a black inventor that's doing this and he's teaching, and we can't get no playtime. So my girlfriend, I remember June 11th, no, June 12th was on my dad's birthday. It was Sunday. I was frustrated. I said, man, I'm gonna mess around and probably create my own magazine. She gave me $20 for the first copy before anything was written down.
Mm-hmm.
Now I had to bring it to fruition. I named it Black Innovation. I said, man, that had to be already taken already. Got to be a magazine called Black Innovation. It's too like sound like it's already established, you know. And I found out it wasn't, so I trademarked the name. And this is just betting on it before you even wrote one single word. Then I threw the date out. And the 7 steps of goal setting, or what you read in the book, Acting Go Believe, and I can leave that with you before I leave. The last step is marking a date. So when I marked the date on the first release, that was June 12th that I thought about it. I marked the date for August 1st. Now that's the long shot. Now the only reason why I was able to do that and know that I can carry through is because I was able to produce other things before that. And when you're able to do that and you see the finishing, see, T.D. Jakes said it best. He said, you would never respect yourself if you never had the taste of finishing. most people disrespect themselves because they never finish what they start.
Mm.
And it's easy for you to disrespect yourself.
Yeah.
You don't want nobody to disrespect you from outside sources, but you disrespect yourself. But the taste of finishing. So I had to create it because I'm saying to myself, well, if the opportunity is not going to be there for me, create the opportunity. Let's see how it's going to do. There was never a thought of failure. There was never a thought of saying I can't do it. How can you not do anything? The first thing that you want to do something, there's always some type of similarity success that's already been done already. Now, how about you take it as a guide? I had a whole coffee table full of magazines, ink, success. All these magazines, seeing the format. Okay, the format, the flow. I bought old back in the day before they stopped printing. I bought an old Black Enterprise magazine, looking at okay how to flow of this thing. And they called him um, they called him. I know I called myself the innovator, and I forgot the name that they called him. And I said, "Yo, he's this person, and I'm the innovator because I'm going to innovate a new way of how we're going to get things going, how we're going to put things out there." I couldn't find a black inventor that had done that, the patents stuff like that to help me. I had to become that. This stuff is not just for me. I'm helping to teach other people to become patent inventors. And then also, when you get a little coloring book, I wanted to teach kids the importance of the Black inventors of the past and the present. So what's the best way to do it? Create a coloring book. Once you put one seed in on something, you'll see that things become much easier. Ideas that you come about. That's why you would never run out of ideas. And I'm not scared to share my knowledge because I have endless of ideas. Most people are scared to share their knowledge because they tapped out of what they have for as ideas.
Most people are tapped out, but you can't be scared to share your ideas. Can't be scared to breathe life into your ideas. And please,
No,
please, please don't give up on your ideas.
no, don't give up.
Because some of us are sitting on $1 million ideas.
Hmm.
Some of us are sitting on $1,000 ideas. And as they keep adding up, it's still a good thing. But friends, I'm gonna pick on you. One of my friends that is tuned in, Belinda, she does this she crochets, and we were talking about sensory blankets, and she's like, yeah, but I don't, sensory blanket is a needed item because you have children that have different things on the spectrum maybe or other delays and things that sort, and that helps them and solve and help them to learn and things. And sometimes we sit on it because we think, oh no, nobody's gonna buy into that. You never know.
Right.
Give yourself a date. You seize it before you see it. Believe in yourself, and it can come to pass. So, Belinda, you give me a date. You text it to me. I'm not gonna let you put it all out on Front Street, but you text me that date because again, that's what we're about, trying to encourage you as well to act, grow, and believe. Act on it, grow in it, and believe that it's going to work out. I believe in you.
Now, that right there will be good for a motivational piece, right? But this is what I do. I want it to be impactful enough. And I'm going to give you the 7 steps to go set in for anything that you want to do in life. And if you follow these 7 steps, it's been scientifically proven with that because they did a study back in the 1950s with Yale with these 7 steps.
Mm,
And if everything, when you follow through with that, you get to success. So here's the first step. Write down what you want. Most people always list what they don't want in life. And that's the biggest, most difficult problem that happens is that when you list what you don't want, you never make room for what you do want, right? So write down what you want. Second step, write down why you want what you want. Most people don't know why they want what they want. They just want it. You got a reason because that reason will help you in the long run on why. The third thing, most people don't even do this. List the obstacles, list the adversities, list the storms that you're going to have to face throughout this process ahead of time. Because when you see that ahead of time and know that's about to happen, you can be prepared when it does happen and not fall like a piece of paper because you get the first no or something like that, right? The fourth step, find out the people, places, and organizations you need to connect with to get you to that next level. Most people want to keep things to themselves. They got to get talking to the right people, organizing with the right organization, finding out the right type of places where you need to go to make things happen, right? The fifth thing, you got to find out what you need to know. Now, one minute you know who you need to talk to, but what you need to know to get there. The sixth thing, don't create just a plan, create an action plan. An action plan that has every step to get you to the next goal. And like I said, and like you said earlier, the seventh step is marking a date. When you mark that date, it's not a wish anymore. as a destination. So get ready.
Friends, friends, I hope you got all seven. I was trying to, get them down and things of that sort. So we swiped them through. We said, write down what you want, write down why you want it,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
list the obstacles,
Yeah.
find who you need to connect with to help make it happen.
Uh-huh.
Because friends, sometimes we think we can do it by ourselves, but we can learn from somebody else. So you want to find some support. You ain't got to do it by yourself. Then find out what you need to know. So
Uh-huh.
you got to know what it is what you're doing. You can say I want to be a cook, but what does it really take? What else you need to know? What clearances you need? Create an action plan
Uh,
and then mark the date.
you got it.
Friends, so
You
so
got
many
it.
good nuggets, so many good nuggets, so good, very good stuff, very good stuff. Curly Top, you getting some fire and some claps up in there. Curly Top must be a nickname, huh? We going
And that's my baby Mickey.
yeah. And also to your girlfriend, shout out to her because you mentioned her a couple of times how she's been able to encourage and uplift you and help you in this path as well.
Yes.
Friends, it matters who you have around you,
You're right.
right?
You're right.
Because it could have been somebody saying, I don't know why you doing that. And if somebody is always discouraging you in your dreams,
They got
I
to
want you to
go.
I want you to mark the date of when you telling them they got to go.
You got to. You got
Is
to.
there an
Because then
obstacle?
you because then you're gonna have that big old R word that's called resentfulness. And that
Hmm.
right there makes you bitter.
Yes, yes. And we don't want to be bitter.
Hmm.
Oh, this was good. Steve, the legacy. Is it something you want to share that we walk away with? I know you gave us the seven tips, but if it's something else on your heart that you wanted to be able to share with the listeners and viewers, I yield the floor to you.
I really appreciate the honor and opportunity to be here. I think that's 7 steps. If you really master those things, anything that you desire and want to do in life, you'll be able to do it. If you notice that in those 7 steps, and we even talk about emotions and how you feel, it's not about your feelings. So I'll take those feelings away. Les Brown said it best: your feelings and emotions will use you. So
Mhm.
you got to make sure that you don't allow that to be. That's why if you look at the whole 7 steps, it was not about no feelings. It was not about no emotions. It's about not, I don't want to do it. It's like you follow this or you get it. Or you don't follow it, you don't get it. I remember it was a quote, actually, it was a fortune cookie that my old boss put on my desk, and I never forget it. He said, study, and he said, study and plan, and one day your day will come. But I used to do the flip side of it. If you do not study and plan, your day will never come.
Mhm.
The great thing behind that, what I learned from that is that, in everything in life, make it a study.
Mhm.
Make everything a study. We're used to doing that, right? Because we was in school. We
Right.
had different subjects that we didn't get to choose. And half of the subjects we don't even use. But the subject that you will have to make work in your life, make it a study.
Mm.
Make happiness a study. Study the art of happiness. Make your why a study. Why do you even want what you want? Where did it come from? Was it manufactured or was it something that you brought forth?
Mhm.
Make everything you do a study.
Mm. So good. I thank you so much um, for your yes to believe in yourself. Because that's how I was able to connect, just being able to see your posts and different things that you're doing, and again, not giving up on you. So wonderful job. Again, I
Thank
will be
you.
in contact, or on your website rather. Don't have to contact necessarily, but on your website to purchase some of those activities to be able to share with the families that we sponsor this year. Because it's good to give them some information that's going to help them beyond today. So like a meal is good that we provide, gift cards is good, but also some knowledge that they can walk away with. You quoted a lot of people. It shows that you read a lot of books, and learn from some greats so that you can stay up in the greats too. And it's best what you said. Find the people who can help you with what it is that you're doing. It was like number five, something like that. Find no, find four. Find who you need to connect with to help make it happen. And sometimes you reading that book is going to help you connect. Okay, what other tips do I need to know? And again, I love the workbook mentality because writing things down is so crucial to be able to see it. Because sometimes we'll say it, we'll think it, and we'll forget it. But if I write it down, I can go back to it or whatever my goals are. And that's the importance of writing it down so you can see it. That'll help you see it, friends. We're talking about seeing it and believing it, but sometimes seeing it. So, like the vision boards that we did, it's still crucial. It's still beneficial. I charge you to do a vision board. I know it's April, the new year. has started. We're in the year, almost mid-year, but it's not too late to pursue whatever dreams and goals that you have. So you want to write it down, list the obstacles, what's blocking you from doing it, and be honest, because sometimes you could be your own obstacle. I
Hmm.
don't have the money. I don't have this. I'm fearful. Mm-mm. Let's believe in ourselves. And if we are the obstacle, then find the person we need to connect with. So, Steve Legacy, what you said worked where you got through so I can help get through and I don't have to have fear. I'm going to believe in myself and go forth with this. And then again, finding out what you need to know, creating an action plan and marking that date. So, again, I truly, truly thank you so much for joining us
Thank
uh,
you.
and wish you a great, great evening.
I wish you one too as well. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, sorry, last one. How can people get in contact with you?
Okay, I'm on Instagram, Steve the Legacy, Facebook, Steve the Legacy, website, stevethelegacy.com. And I'm always here to serve. I'm always here to help. And I'm always here to be an example. Because sometimes you have to be the example first. And once they see that, then it's an easier way to understand, you know what, if that person can do it, I can do it. Because I've seen the same thing with me growing up, watching others,
Mhm.
and wanting to be that. So, yes.
Yes. So, friends, if you like Jax, go ahead and get Cubics. It's going to challenge your mind just a little bit more. I'm going to give me a game for myself because I love Jax and I still play Jax. I got him, got hardware floors that comes in handy. But I like the idea of, what you created with the Cubics. I'm going to get that for myself. But again, I'm getting other activities for the families that we're going to sponsor and things like that. But again, I'm so, so excited for what it is that you're doing. Again, keep going. You are appreciated. You are needed. Keep going, keep going, keep going.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you again so much. May you have a great evening.
You too.
Yes. Oh, friends, tonight we had the awesome Steve the Legacy. That boy, I tell you, it's so dope to connect with people that are doing some great things. Why? Because it ignites your fire and your motivation to do the things that you're trying to do in this thing called life. Friends, life be lifing. But I challenge you, we challenge you to act, to grow, and to believe. Why? Because all things are possible. I think one of the comments put there, you can do all things. Joseph said, yes, you can do all things. You can do all things. Believe in yourself. I believe in you. I do. And that's why we do this, to be able to encourage and uplift others, to let them know that you can do some amazing things in the world, but don't give up on you. Don't forget our quote of the day. Feel the fear and do it anyway. I'm gonna have to ask Steve the legacy on that when I share it tomorrow because it's a quote that he lives by. We're gonna give him the credit for it, okay, friends? Feel the fear and do it anyway, because that's what he's out here doing and encouraging us. So yes, you're gonna be fearful, but do it anyway. It's like when you first learn how to ride a bike, you scared. Am I gonna have my balance together? Am I gonna fall? But guess what? You did it anyway, and then you learn how. If it wasn't a bike, driving a car, you was a little fearful, but you did it anyway. If it was cooking something, you was a little fearful. Are they gonna like it? But you did it anyway. So feel the fear and do it anyway. Be sure to join us next week as we will have Juanita for the cost of me. I'm not gonna tell y'all nothing else about that. I'm excited about that. It's gonna be good. So be sure to join us next week. It's gonna be good. Again, I thank each and every one of you for tuning in, for liking, for commenting, and coming back again. Be sure to share with someone something that you learned on tonight that's encouraged you to act, grow, and believe. I love you all so very much. May you have a great, great week. Until next time, I love you.
Friends, we thank you for joining Jen Cares this week. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Unable to watch us live? Be sure to find us on your favorite podcast platform. You can also visit our website, chozencounselors.com. That's chosen with a Z, so that you can stay in the know and most of all, never miss a show. If you found value in this episode, we'd appreciate you sharing it with a friend. Most of all, be sure to tune in for our next episode next Monday at 8 p.m. right here as we specialize in bringing the community to you.